Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. and I make videos all about making and selling candles. If you guys would like to support the channel in a new way, I do now have a channel membership that you can join by clicking on the join button right next to the subscribe button right underneath this video. Today's video is going to be part 2 to my very first pop-up experience video. If you guys missed part 1, I will have it linked in a card above as well as down below in the description box. So make sure you go and watch that video first before you watch this one, because I talk about two different things within these videos. This video is definitely going to be more of a Q&A video from you guys, questions that you guys asked me over on my Instagram. I actually put up an Instagram story right after the event, and I wanted to have you guys ask me questions on things that you were curious about on how the actual event went. And I got some really good questions that I can't wait to answer for you guys. So the first question, which I thought was really interesting, was how was the conversation flow? How did you talk with customers? And I found this really interesting because this was never something that I actually was concerned about going into it. I think I was just nervous about the whole process and I didn't necessarily pinpoint anything in particular. But now that I think about it, that is something that I was nervous about that I didn't even know that I was nervous about. But what we ended up doing for the conversation flow was, one, just keep it as natural and kind of laid back as possible. So when somebody would come over to the booth, it was immediately, hi, how are you doing today? And they'd be like, I'm good, how are you? Like, we're doing good. And I would give maybe a couple seconds. And if they're looking down at the candles, a good phrase that I figured out that was kind of a good segue into being able to choose a scent that was best for them is, I would say something along the lines of, what kind of scents do you typically like? Or what kind of scents do you typically gravitate towards? And then they would give me their response. And then from there, I would be able to actually choose a scent that I think that they would like well enough to purchase. Otherwise, I think a lot of people were a little bit timid to, kind of not really know where to go, and they're trying to look at it and they're reading the names. And, on my candles, the scent notes are a little bit smaller. So that's why it's easier to know and ask them. That way you can say, this scent I think you'd like, or this scent I think you'd like. And one of the things that really helped me from what you guys had commented in my comment section below was to take the candle and put it in their hands, or encourage them to take the candles and smell them at their will. Whenever there'd be a group of people coming over, one of the first things that I would say is, feel free to pick up the candles, smell whatever you'd like. And we had our little free candle smell, so we just kind of, played on that. Free candle smells, go ahead and smell as many candles as you'd like, that kind of thing. The next question kind of goes into that, and it's, did you have a selling strategy? And again, no, I didn't going into it, but after a little bit of time of talking with people, here's a couple things that I learned in terms of selling. And again, I do have somewhat of a sales background in my previous desk job, being a receptionist and upselling some of the products that we had there, and also having a sales goal every month. So this is kind of what I had learned, and I was trying to read the feedback on people. So there were a couple situations where people would be looking at the candles, and of course I have my largest candles in the front, and I did decide to actually put large, small wax melts. I didn't put 10-ounce candle, 6-ounce candle, and wax melts. I decided to choose the terms large and small because I feel like somebody coming into it, it's easier, large, small. You see the big one, you see the small one. So that's what I decided to do. And when they were looking at it, they would say, how much is this? And I would say, the large ones are 25 and the small ones are 15, and then the wax melts are 5. And what I realized is that as soon as you say wax melts are 5, every single person just took their attention right over to the wax melts. And that's something that I had learned throughout the process of that night, was that if they're wanting a candle and you give them another option that is significantly cheaper, like my wax melts, most of the time they're gonna wanna go with the cheapest option. So what I had learned, and this was more towards the end of the night, was this is kind of how I started phrasing it. When people would ask how much it was, I would say those are 25, and I would read their reaction. So a lot of sales is kind of reading people's reactions. So I would read their reaction, and there was this one guy who was purchasing from me or was interested in one of the candle scents, and he asked how much it was. I said 25, and immediately I kind of saw that little like, that's a lot, and I get it. I totally get it. And then I kind of jumped in and I was like, those are 25, but we do have the smaller ones for 15. So if you kind of wanted to try out that one first. And he goes, yeah, let me go ahead and get one of those. So immediately I knew if I would have said, you could also get a wax melt for 5, he would have just wanted to get a wax melt. So to have the two options be, you can get the big candle, you can get the small candle. Those are your two options. And not really giving the option of, you can get this, or if you don't want to, that's okay. You never want to make it seem like, obviously they have the option to say no, but in terms of a sales aspect of what I had learned is it's easier to put two things side by side and say you can do A or you can do B. And by having him hear the $25, $15 from 25 sounds like a lot easier on the wallet than $25 does. So I hope that helps. So that became more of my sales strategy. And I think that's something we definitely want to do next time is have wax melt deals and bring like double, if not triple the amount of wax melts that we have. And bring it over and have be promoting the wax melt deal, because a lot of people were interested in those. And I think that doing maybe a 5 for 20 deal is going to be really popular. The next question was a really good question, and it was, what would you change or do differently for your next pop-up? So one thing that this was a mistake on my end. I think that some people recommended me to have a Venmo QR code printed out, or I have seen other people have that. So I had my price sheet, and then I had another little shelf talker plastic thing that held an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And I said, we accept cards, cash, Venmo, PayPal. And then right below it, I put my Instagram QR code. And that wasn't the smartest idea, if I do say so myself, to myself. It wasn't the smartest idea, because there were people that thought that that was my Venmo. So they would try to pay me through that. And I'm like, oh, no, sorry, that's my Instagram. So why did I do that? It was one of those things where I'm like, why did I do that? Why didn't I put my Venmo? Especially because I'm saying what we accept, and then I put my Instagram. So that was definitely a mistake on my end. And I am 100% going to make a huge thing that says Venmo. So easy for somebody to just scan it and pay me. So much easier. So I'm definitely going to have that instead of my Instagram, because I think business cards are better in a way. I mean, of course, to have people follow you on Instagram is really nice, but in terms of people just wanting to buy something, it's best to make it as easy as possible for them to purchase from you. The next thing I'm going to do differently for the next time is I actually just ordered a Shopify card reader that is going to connect to my Shopify store. So we were kind of trying to take inventory of everything that was being sold. Chris was keeping track of it on the notes section of his phone for all of the different scents that were being sold and the different sizes and all that kind of stuff. And I had actually spoke with somebody who was at the vendor booth right across from me. I'm actually going to shout out her company because she was really sweet. And I'm going to have her Instagram or something linked over here so you guys can go check her out. But I bought one of her body butters and I love it. And I loved her setup. And she said she had only been in business for like 2 months or so, and she was doing fantastic. So I actually went over there to support her and, see her products and everything. And I saw her little Shopify station, and she was sharing with me how it works, and you can click on your products and it connects to your Shopify store. So that definitely made me want to go purchase it. So I got it from Shopify, and I'm excited for it to come in to use for the next event, because although the PayPal Here device, it worked, it just didn't work all the time. It would disconnect from the Bluetooth and then not want to connect. And there were a couple times where I told people like, I'm so sorry, I can only take cash or I do have Venmo as well, because I could just pull up my own Venmo. And we didn't lose any sales, but Chris and I were a little nervous in the beginning because that started happening within the first 20, 30 minutes. And we were really nervous that that was going to make us lose a lot of sales from not being able to take card payments, because there were a lot of card payments. So we were kind of nervous about that. She said she hasn't had any issues with the Shopify one. So I'm really interested in getting that and being able to switch over from the PayPal here over to the Shopify card reader. And then the last thing that we are going to be doing differently for the next event is bringing all of the scents that I have in wax melt form so that people can smell it and know which ones that they may want to get on the website. Obviously, I don't think it's feasible for me to bring every single one of my scents to all of the events, but I do want to be able to at least have it in wax melt form, because there were scents like Trips to Nowhere, the DJ, I think those were the top two that we were telling people about that they would probably like on my website, but we didn't have anything for them to smell, for them to be like, oh yes, I want to get that on your website. So I think that that would be a good idea, maybe having little samples. I did want to bring wax melt samples, but that was one thing that I was not prepared for. And I only had samples of scents that I was already bringing. So it just didn't make any sense. So I definitely either want to bring little samples to hand out to people in case they're curious about other scents on the website, or having full-blown wax melts of all of my scents. I think that that's probably going to be the best way to go, because there were a lot of people that were telling us certain scents that they liked, and it kind of was scents that I didn't have with me. So I think that that's probably the best way to go. The next question is, what is the most important thing that you learned? And Chris and I learned that having a very positive, interactive, we always joke about this word, but vibe, it's so true. Having a very positive vibe coming from your booth, talking to people, being interactive, talking to people more than just talking about the products. We talked about, I had somebody compliment my brand name, and that really kind of dove into the story behind it. We told a lot of people about the memories from the nostalgia collection, and that we hand make it. A lot of people love knowing that we handmade our products and that we were local, just the next city over. So a lot of people really like that, and I think that that was really important to build a connection with the people in your community. Really, really important lesson to learn from this whole process. And also standing up, making sure that you are standing up and front and center, not staring at people, but just ready to talk to people when they come to your booth, and not sitting down in the corner, because we have walked through a couple different vendor events before, and people are just kind of sitting down, they're on their phone, and it's not a very inviting setup. So we really wanted to be as inviting as possible. So I think that that's one of the most important things that you learn, is the dynamic between the person that you're manning the booth with, and also being a very positive vibe coming from your booth and talking with people, and standing up. Very important. And then actually this next question bounces off of the last question, because it says, is it better to have two people manning the booth? And absolutely yes, you will not want to do it alone, especially for your first time. Depending on how big the event is, I think that it could vary, but because we had so much setup to do with adding the 3 panels, having the lights going through, having all of the products and all that kind of stuff, and also the fact that a lot of the times we had so many people at our booth that having him go and get the products ready, package it up, put it in bags, give it to the customer while I'm taking all of the payments and talking with people, and then he can talk to somebody else while I'm busy with somebody. So definitely having 2 people is really, really important. I don't think that it would have gone as well if it was just me there trying to figure it all out. There were times that he needed to walk away and like use the restroom or something. So, and same with me as well. So we were fine in those small moments, but overall, definitely have 2 people with you. It is going to make it so much better. And then also thinking about it in the sense of with the vehicle situation. So when we pull up in the vehicle, we drop everything off at our booth, and then he goes and parks the truck. And then later on that night, he went to get the truck, and we were able to load up. And I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. And if I was, I would have left all of my stuff by itself. So definitely have 2 people with you. The next question is, how much traffic was at the event? I don't know. I personally do not know. I'm assuming there was maybe close to 1,000 people that came in and out of that whole 4-hour time period. Again, I don't know. I think that on their vendor list and information, they say anywhere from 600 to 1,000 people. It might have been more. I don't know. Again, I barely left the vendor booth. I did a little bit to try to film a little bit of the location, but most of the night was spent inside of the booth. So I didn't see the grand scheme of all the people, but I would say there was a good amount of people, and there were times where I got a little overwhelmed at a couple points, but it wasn't anything that we couldn't handle. It was just kind of getting through the moment. And again, it just kind of put me right back in that front desk position of trying to handle everybody trying to check out at once. At least I didn't have to answer the phone at the same time, because that was always the hardest thing working as a receptionist is dealing with the people in front of you and also having to man the phone at the same time. So at least there were no phone calls in the middle of that. So I have 3 more questions left to answer for you guys. And the next one is, did a lot of customers want a bag, or will a box be okay? To be honest, I think it just depended. If somebody got a candle, I think mostly everybody wanted a bag. If they were just getting a wax melt or 2, we did have a lot of people that said, no, it's fine. I don't need a bag. But it was nice being able to have a bag there, because a lot of people that purchased a candle wanted it, because of course it's a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier and not as nice to put inside of your purse or something like that. So a lot of people did like the option of a bag. To be honest, I don't know if anybody would want a box. And by box, I'm not sure what you're meaning. If you're meaning like a shipping box, like a gift box or something like that, I would definitely probably look into having a bag, because people like to have their hands free, or even if they're just resting it on their arms, to have it kind of out of the way while they're doing other things, and just being able to have it easier to carry. I think that's easier than carrying around like a gift box of some kind. So I would probably recommend to have a bag. The next question is, did anything embarrass you? And honestly, not really. There was one moment, and I think the first half hour or so, Chris and I were really just kind of learning together how we were going to be interacting with customers. And we were both nervous, but I was telling him that I was nervous. He said he wasn't, but really he was. So we were both kind of nervous in the beginning, and then we kind of opened up. But I would say it was pretty close to the beginning of the night, and there was this lady that I'd walked over, and she was looking at the wax melts, and she asked me a question about it, and I answered it, and then right away I said, did you want to go ahead and get one? And again, that was just kind of something that was so natural to me in my other job, of just kind of assuming that people were going to get things. I mean, we said that all the time, like, okay, you want to go ahead and get this, or we're going to go ahead and get this today, product with the whole, because it was a body waxing salon, so there was a lot of products. So that was just something that kind of came to mind. And I didn't mean it in a pushy way, but I think that it probably came off as a pushy way. And she was nice, but she was just kind of like, I'm still, kind of looking. And I was like, okay, and I think we gave her a business card. As soon as she walked away, Chris was like, I was like, I know, I shouldn't have said it like that. So we were kind of laughing about that. I'm like, I know, I need to just, he was like, you just need to be a little bit more chill. I'm like, I know, I'm just kind of getting into the mindset of the sales mindset again. So that was like the only thing, but I really didn't get embarrassed over it. It was more of just taking a learning experience and kind of changing it up. And I didn't do it for the rest of the night. I did not assume the sale and be too pushy. And then the final question that I wanted to answer for you guys is, how do you go about finding pop-up events? And to be honest, I had no idea in the beginning. I was just as lost as you guys. And to be honest, I have a better idea now of where to look. And I would say Instagram. And it might be hard to find at first, but within your city, there should be like an event business that contacts the city for certain locations to rent out, and they set up all of these events. So you can go try looking at your city's Instagram, try looking on Facebook for local events happening and ask about it. Try to search in the search of the group of Facebook groups and such to try to see vendor events or different events happening. And I had found a lot on Instagram. So I found this one company, and they are responsible for creating, I think, like the majority of events in Temecula, and I think in Murrieta too, which is a city that I live in. So they are responsible for a lot of that, and I'm able to just go to their website and see the list of events that they have going on, and then I can apply for them. So I wasn't sure how it was gonna work out, but you just go on there, you apply for it. They see if you're gonna be a good candidate, and then they can contact you to see if you know, you're still interested, and you pay for it and all that kind of stuff. So I just applied and I got accepted, and then I paid for the booth, and then it was all set up to go. So that is a little bit more of the challenging aspect. You would think that there would be something easier to find events that go on. But something else is if you know people in the area. I mean, honestly, if you were like at a coffee shop or something and you just ask them like, hey, are there any like cool events happening? Like anytime, like, do you know where there's anything cool to like go and check out on like a Friday night or a weekend or something? There's a lot of people in the community that go to certain events, and there are way more events than I have ever even thought of or knew of up until this point of me actually trying to seek them out. So I had no idea about Vail headquarters, which is the place that I had gone to and the place we're going again. So I had no idea about it, and now we do. So it's just some research. And again, I found a lot on Instagram once I started researching more into it. You might even be able to hashtag your city and type in like hashtag your city and then like event or I don't know, something like that. And you might be able to find people in your local area that are going to places, and that might be able to kind of lead you to a list or a place of people that put on those kind of events. And with that, before my voice goes out again, I am going to end today's video right here. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at MemoryBoxCandleCo, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. The most difficult thing for me in the beginning, I didn't know where to look. I didn't know how to look. I would look up on Google, like vendor events near me, and some things would pop up, but it just, that's kind of ironic, pop up, some things would pop up, pop-ups would pop up. Stupid.